Did you ever think French and isiZulu would meet? Well, a French-IsiZulu Manual of Conversations has been published by an art student to aid Francophones with isiZulu. Master of Arts student in isiZulu Studies, that's Mongezi Bolofo, joins us to tell us what brought about this first-of-its-kind idea. Mr. Bolofo, Sawubona, bonjour, in the spirit, of course, of this book. This is how I'd like to greet you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us right here on the South African Morning. This is quite, I think, an insightful book. I think it's one that I get where you're going with this, but I'd like you to just bring us to, the vision and what inspired, why you wanted to publish this book.
Sanbonani, bonjour, and good morning to all your viewers and to you, madam. Thank you very much. Yes, it is a groundbreaking book. It is the first time that French meets isiZulu in a single publication. The inspiration of the book is to open access to African languages, especially isiZulu in particular, to the Francophone world. You would know that there are no resources to learn isiZulu if you are not from an Anglophone world. And therefore we have a whole lot of our African brothers and sisters who've descended and found home in South Africa, who most of the time are assumed to know how to speak Zulu. And so this was one of the groundbreaking projects that we thought it would be of great assistance to the Francophone speakers to have access to isiZulu in a language that they understand better.
If I may ask, why specifically, the French community? Why those Francophones communities? Because as you mentioned, we do have a lot of French-speaking, people and families who are residing now in South Africa, but also equally, we almost have the rest of the world that have found home in South Africa. But your particular focus is on the French community. Why?
There is so much of culture and wisdom that we would tap into, that we can share with that world which we have never been so much in contact with. And therefore, you would know in one of the great histories that our great King Shaka is also, his military strategies are always likened to those of the Napoleon Bonaparte of the French. And therefore, that means there is a lot that we can share. There is a moving forward. And therefore, the Francophone world is also important for us to be able to tap into. And we are looking into doing this with other languages. But we started with this one, which that we've had Xenophobic Spirits in the country, which were also linked to linguistic and linguicism, because you would be our African brothers will be asked the difference between idolo and indololwane, and therefore the assumption that when you get into a taxi and you are from DRC, when you are from other countries that uses French, and the assumption is that you should know how to speak Zulu, and someone sit next to you in the taxi and they start a conversation in isiZulu, and you know nothing about that. And so for them to be able to learn and for full social integration into the communities when they move into South Africa, it is important that we have a resource like this that will assist in learning a native language in the country, an indigenous language, so that they'll be able to fully integrate.
Mongezi, this is such a considerate book. When a book is considerate, when a book is thoughtful, and a book is literally your manual, almost like your GPS and your guide in a country where you need to navigate yourself in a language that perhaps you don't understand. So when I get access to the book then and I open it, what are some of the aspects that I find in the book? What will I find?
The book has got three facets. One, you would find a socio-historical account of isiZulu. You have, secondly, an introduction to grammar. We're not doing so much intensely, but we have tried to put the part of grammar that is focusing on aspects that are important and aspects that would contrast and compare what we have in French and isiZulu. We also have possible conversations. That's why it's a manual. It has conversations that you would learn that are possible, like which are themed, like in the airport, in the restaurant, where you would meet people landing in this country, coming here, passing in customs. All that we would try to make a scene that you like a person who comes from outside South Africa, they're coming in, and the possible conversation they would have.
Yeah.
So that is the third facet. The fourth facet, which was supposed to be part of this book, but we will be publishing it later, is a French-IsiZulu kind of dictionary or lexicon, if I may say, where we are juxtaposing French and IsiZulu to French for both communities to be able to learn and increase the number of words that they know. But we decided to publish it separately because it was going to make the book very heavy.
Right. Well noted on that. I have to let you go in just a few minutes, but before I do, I want to quote you here. You are of the belief that it's important for African languages to form relationships with other languages. Why do you think that's so important?
You know that our languages have always used English to form relationship with other languages. So even if we are here internally in the country, for me to learn Xitsonga, I need to find a resource, and it will be English Xitsonga. We don't have something that brings Xitsonga next to isiZulu, and therefore our indigenous and African languages should be able to make relationship with other languages. We should be able to reach out and bring these other languages, because the globalization has brought all of us next to each other. And now in South Africa, we do have a French community, we do have an Italian community, we do have a Chichewa community, we do have a Shona community, and therefore to learn from each other, we need to start making relationships that are direct without having a middleman, which is always English in the middle. So one to learn another language must know English in order to use that resource. So we should be able to move directly from Zulu to Tswana, from Zulu to Chivenda, from Zulu to Chichewa, and so on.
Well, Mongezi, kasipedi rere raleboga. KasiZulu, siyabonga. Thank you so much for joining us and talking to us. That was Mongezi Bolofo there, right here on eNCA. Quite a considerate book, I have to say, very considerate. But well, still